And one thing you brought up a good point about there's no longer a 6 degrees of separation. That you will know a child with
Or
autism, or an individual, a person
Mm-hmm.
with autism. How do you prepare, let's say, a student or a classmate? How do you explain autism? Why, for example, why can't, I hate to say it like this, but what's wrong with Billy? Because that's usually how kids approach the question.
Definitely.
What's wrong with Billy? Why does he act that way? How do you explain that to the Billy's sibling and his classmates?
So, at this point in 2013, every teacher should have had some sort of autism training. Hopefully, if they haven't, we will come to your classrooms. The Autism Society will come to your classrooms. We'll talk to your kids about autism. We'll explain what the differences are. There's great books out there that can be purchased. Right. There is an organization called IATAP, but that's the Illinois Autism Technical Project. If you're a teacher or a caregiver, you can take an online class. It's free of charge. To learn more about autism. You can come to us to learn more about autism. But when you're talking to children about autism, you have to be very careful, because a lot of these kids may have a symptom of autism. So when I've gone out and talked to classrooms, we talk a lot about sensory issues, and a lot of kids with autism have sensory issues. And I'll say, "Oh, what about the buzzing lights around us? How does that make you feel?" And then I'm like, just because you don't like the buzzing lights does not mean you have autism. Because I've had a couple of little guys come up to me and go, "Miss Mary Kay, I think I might have autism." I'm like, "No, you're okay."
Yeah, it's hard.
But to talk to them, we should be talking about all disabilities with our children.
Correct.
We should be talking not just about autism, but all disabilities, because of the bullying issues and things like that. And children with autism are more likely to be bullied than other disabilities and other children.
One thing you brought up about, like, for example, the buzzing lights, and which is at times like a common, should I say, symptom that you'll see with a child with autism. Like something like that, not necessarily
like the stimming.
Yeah, the stimming, okay. Or what are some of the
things that you might notice out?
Well, not necessarily notice, but they will struggle with,
A lot of kids have a lot of kids with autism have issues with their sensory system, and we all are sensory beings. So when I'm sitting at my desk and I'm talking to someone on the phone, I scratch on the piece of paper, or I draw little circles, or I tap my foot. Right. That's how we keep our sensory system in check, so that we're available to listen or learn from a conversation or a lecture or something like that. Individuals with autism are either hyper or hypo with their sensory needs. So you may see an individual flapping their hands, rocking, tippy-toe walking, having echolalic behaviors where they say words over and over and over. So you may see something like that. And what they're trying to do is get their sensory system to that optimal level so that they can take in that information. So that's a huge piece. But everyone has sensory issues. Some are the smell of food. It can cause a behavior. Wearing a piece of clothing that has a tag in it. The lights flickering, the sound of a bell ringing, and them not being prepared for it can throw a child with autism into some behaviors that might not be accepted very well.
No, yeah, and it's hard, and sometimes it's hard for the people around them to understand why that behavior is happening.